time for another episode of Intern TV being filmed live from Aston, Pennsylvania! Quick PSA, next week is spring break, but don't worry, we're still going to have action. We're still going to have another episode, so make sure you tune in to Newman Media because we will be dropping another episode every single Wednesday until the end of the semester. It might carry over into the summer. We'll see how it goes. So, let's get it going here. I would like to now introduce our guest, Dasha Gorokhova. Yeah. Dasha, thank you for joining us today. It's great to have you here. So, let's start it off real simple. Tell me about yourself. Tell me what you're doing this semester, what your activities got going on here.
So I'm a senior, so I'm graduating actually a year early. Right now I'm doing a couple internships. I'm interning with the Reading Royals, which I have been since last year actually. I just got a job with Madison Square Garden company as a head coach, and then I'm also one of the presidents of the senior seminar class.
Well, hey, congratulations. Hey. Congratulations.
Got a job.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, so you said you've been with the Reading Royals for a couple years now.
Yeah.
Go ahead and tell me about that. Tell me what you've been doing there.
So it's actually my second season. I'm a community engagement intern. So pretty much I do a bunch of the game day responsibilities, set up, tear down, any on-ice promotions that we have kind of in between periods, all the games. I actually got to pick a couple of theme nights at the end of last year that were implemented this year, so that was pretty cool.
Nice.
I think Ninja Turtle night was one of them. We had like a ladies' night, wine tasting, so that was pretty cool.
Love a good wine tasting.
Yeah, could not taste any of it myself because I'm not 21, but I was
course,
able to sit there and look at it.
Drinking.
Hey, we legally supervise.
Yeah.
Legally supervised,
Legally
yes.
supervised,
We're great
yes.
supervisors.
Absolutely. That's what we do. That's what we do.
So, what kind of wine was there? Do you know?
I don't
Red
even
wine,
know.
white wine.
I think it was a bunch of different
Some
kind of
vineyards,
wine.
from Italy.
From Italy, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's an
okay,
ECHL team, so I
Yeah,
don't know
that's
what
true.
they can
It was
afford.
Some Napa Valley there.
Probably
Probably.
Reading's finest.
Reading's
Yeah,
finest, yeah.
Reading Vineyards,
All
yeah.
the vineyards.
Yeah.
All the vineyards.
I don't
up
even
in
think they
Reading.
have a vineyard in
We'll make
Reading.
one then.
So with that long list of internships you just named, how have they benefited you in the sports industry, like growing yourself?
So again, kind of on the Reading Royals, they gave me a chance to kind of try everything. So I also did like sales calls for them. Sometimes I help with like digital media content. So it just kind of gives you a way to try everything, especially with that kind of low-level team. Like with Madison Square Garden Company, you're stuck in one role and you can't really move on anywhere else. But Reading Royals, since it's so small and like they have such a small staff, you can try everything. So that's awesome.
Absolutely. So you said you got a job with Madison Square Garden, big time.
Yeah.
As a coach.
Big
As a
time.
coach.
Yeah, head coach.
What are you going to be coaching?
Ice hockey. So they have a bunch of programs for kids to get involved. So they have like Try Hockey for Free, Learn to Play, they have Rookie Series, and then they have a girls program which they're trying to grow. So I'm actually head coach at one like specific rink. So I run their practices and then I have to go to games and then sometimes help out with Rookie Series, but we'll see.
So they play at Madison Square Garden?
No, so they have a bunch of different partner rinks in New Jersey, Connecticut, New York. So right now I'm actually at a rink in New Jersey just because it's the closest one. It's still an hour and a half for me to drive. It took me 2 hours yesterday.
It's a
Love
commute.
that.
Yeah, that was a hike. So other than that, it's just mostly going to games, going to practices.
How did you go about getting this job? Like how did you find it? What was the interview process like? And how did you use your internships to give yourself some power to have them offer you the job?
Yeah, so actually I didn't get the job when I initially applied for it back in August, and Owen, who's also like in my grade, he was working at Madison Square Garden. He got me in touch with a couple of guys who he works for, and I sent them an email. They're like, all right, send your resume to HR, which I did. Still took a couple of months, and I finally just got hired like 6 months later. But interview process, I did an interview call with 2 different people. It was so informal. It was mostly just conversation. My internship at Snyder Hockey, which you were at, actually did help me because I said, hey, I was in charge of a bunch of kids. I kind of phrased it to a way like, hey, all the ring coordinators wanted me. Nobody could, like, everybody was fighting over like me as a coach there. So that kind of helped. I was like, yeah, I was kind of like the lead instructor there. So that actually got me that head coach job instead of just an assistant. So
It's pretty cool.
So obviously in sport management field, it's an ever-growing field, but it's one that is predominantly male.
yeah.
Right? So being a woman in the sports business field, how do you feel? Do you feel it's challenging at all to come about these internships, or do you feel the playing field has kind of leveled out and it's just kind of equal opportunity? It's who you know. It's what your resume looks like.
I think it is a little bit harder just because with that Madison Square Garden job, a lot of the rookie series coaches are male and they're like learn to play coaches are male. Luckily, I jumped in right when they're starting their girls program, so they want girl coaches. But it's just if you're willing to jump in on any opportunity like you're given. So I worked for the Iron Pigs. It wasn't my favorite internship, but like I just didn't want to say no to anything because it just adds to your list of stuff on your resume. So I think I have like 9 internships, I guess I would count, or like maybe 10 if you count senior seminar. So I'm at a good amount, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Solid amount. Absolutely.
So, big picture. What's your dream job in this field? Is your dream job to be working at Madison Square Garden as like the head coach of the New York Rangers, or is your dream job somewhere in a front office, you know, in charge of people?
Head coach of New York Rangers, I don't think so. I'm retired from ice hockey. Highest level I've ever played is Division III, so I don't think that's equivalent to head coach of the New York Rangers. Yeah, just a little bit out of my league. But I actually do want to work for an NHL team, preferably something with digital media and communications, just because I like that aspect of it, of you have to be creative in order to find new ways to engage with people, because maybe what worked a month or 2 ago, well, that's not really exciting anymore. Everybody did it. You have to find something new.
Absolutely.
So preferably in communications and digital media, but I'll take community relations too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I guess, go ahead.
So how important do you think it is to get your name out there in the industry by doing, like you said, that Ed Snyder helped you get the job that you're currently at because you've worked with kids before and you showed that leadership role? How important is it to get these internships and apply them to a new one to get a position?
Oh, it's super important, especially if they're like related, like game day internships. I did a bunch, and that kind of helped me get my job with the New York Jets, just because I had that game day experience where I said, oh, like, you know, you understand the pressure, you understand the time constraints, so you know kind of you have to be on a strict schedule. You can't just sit back and wait for other people to do the job. If everybody's sitting around, you have to be the one to say, hey, guys, let's get started. So I think it's super important. And then just really who you know. I know Professor Napoli, who is our sport finance professor. She's currently helping me with like a full-time job application just because I saw she was connected with somebody else on LinkedIn. And I said, hey, can you reach out? So hopefully that works out too.
Hey, all about connections.
Yeah, all about connections.
All about it. And here I'll jump in. I know you just mentioned the New York Jets.
Yeah.
And that's something I want to ask you about because you said that you were an intern at the Iron Pigs, which is minor league baseball. I sort of did something like that too. I had an internship in minor league baseball, and then I've also had an internship at a major league level. And for me, like, the companies are just completely different. The amount you do, like, how is it for you doing these different jobs, seeing like the different organizations, like structure-wise? Because at the Blue Rocks, we had 20 people on the whole staff.
Yeah.
But then at the Flyers where I was at, there's 20 people in the department. And for me, that was a big shift. Like, how was that for you?
At Iron Pigs, we actually did have a lot of game day staff. I think like my situation was a little different because of the way they run things. But New York Jets, our game day staff and event staff was only about 30 people, so it still wasn't that much. And I know I think over 150 people applied. It was insane. I thought they would take more just because you need that commitment for a game day, especially if you're doing stuff on the field. You're doing stuff like around the concourse in the stadium. You have people outside, like right outside the stadium, because we had something called the Island. So there was like Bud Light, they had food trucks, they had everything out there. So that's a lot of people. But I mean, we managed. Our boss said, hey, like, you have to be able to commit to every single home game.
Yeah.
So it's a lot, but it just depends.
Yeah.
I guess.
All right, one last question for you.
All right.
What advice do you have for females looking to get into this field? As we mentioned before, it's predominantly male. Times are changing, but it's a very slow progression. So what advice do you have for females looking to get into this field?
Probably just like know what you bring to the table. Like know and understand that you have a certain set of skills that can put you ahead. You can't think male or female. You just have to know I have this much experience, and just be confident with yourself. Because if you're not confident or think, hey, I'm not going to get that job, then you're not going to apply. You're not even try to see if it'll pan out. Just like with Madison Square Garden, it didn't work out the first time, but it worked the second time. So it's just all about your perspective.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Hey, well, we do a little game here.
Oh,
All right. So I'm going to need you to stand up and swap seats with me here.
my goodness.
I'm going to slide right past you here.
There you go,
I don't know
Jeff.
why I
Thank
just
you,
clapped,
thank
but
you.
I thought it was the right
No, it's
time.
not a
No,
clap
it's
time.
good.
I
It's
thought
not
it was the
clap
right time.
All right, ready?
Right.
This is what we call quick six, rapid fire, right off the top of the head. Andrew's going to get us started here. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
Instagram or Twitter?
Instagram.
What is your favorite sport outside of hockey?
Basketball.
Is cereal soup?
No.
Is hot dog a sandwich?
That's an easy carry.
Yeah,
Can you turn pizza into a taco?
possibly.
If you could create one secret culture, what would it be?
That's a good one.
Drawing inside lines.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
I'm gonna need my seat back before you take my job. Thank you. Okay, trying to
I mean, I might.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
might come for the host.
Alrighty. Hey,
make it
Dasha,
11.
thank you.
Yeah, thank
Wonderful
you.
episode. Great to hear your insight. Loved it. Thank you to my co-host Andrew, my co-host Matthew. This has been Intern TV, live from Aston,
Pennsylvania!
We will see you next time.